What it do, snackers, snack gets, and snack X's. It's your boy Gage. I'm here with Sin.
Yes,
And
sir.
you are now tuned into Loading Snacks Weekly, where we get together once a week and we talk about things that are happening in pop culture. And today we're going to discuss some newly announced plans from Xbox that just kind of dropped earlier this afternoon. We're going to talk about Bungie and them delaying Marathon. We're going to talk about Disney making a complete buyout of Hulu and what that means. And we're going to talk about Superman.
Of course.
But before we do that, let me make a couple things clear. One, Jokes is probably not going to make it, although he might sneak in. He did last week. Who knows?
Right.
You know, if you have questions specifically for him, save them. Drop them in the comments at the end of the show. We'll make sure he has homework to go back and do because he's not here. In the meantime, Sin will get the Beacons link up for you because while we are working on putting together our own website, things are not quite where they need to be just yet. We still have a couple of adjustments that need to happen before we're ready to show it to the world, which is, you know, the world really only means a few people, but it's still important, and we want it to be right when it goes live. So,
Absolutely.
because the world will have access to it, even though we don't necessarily need everybody to see it.
But it'll be there for when those people come along.
Correct. Now, Sin has a job to do.
Yes, let's shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dortch, Tyrone Carson, Meticulous Skin, Alex Lee, Ellis Mbaye, and Kermit Ferguson. Thank you very much. Truly, truly appreciate it.
Indeed, we do. Patreon is a wonderful place to go and support us. But again, we love your likes and your shares. So we will take that, your subscriptions as well. Everywhere else that we are. Certainly super, super duper helpful. I think the best thing to do in order for us to really have this conversation about this new Xbox announcement is to kind of dig in first to what we kind of talked about last week. So if you recall, Sin, last week we had a conversation about the new handheld.
Right.
Part of what my plan originally was for today, before they made this announcement today, was to dig a little more into what we know about that handheld that we didn't know last week, right?
Okay.
There have been, I don't know, some decent deep dives into kind of what it really means that Xbox has this partnership with Asus doing the new Xbox, the ROG Xbox Ally X and ROG Xbox Ally. What that really means. So, one, we talked about price point and where we thought this might land in terms of price point. You remember having that discussion, Sin?
I do.
Okay. You remember where you landed on that discussion? Like where
like
we were?
550, something like that. Yeah.
Now, the current price of the ROG Ally, what's up, Nana? Is in like the $800 range.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, couple things. The first thing is that, what's up, Heather? So, the ROG Ally, the two versions of the ROG Ally that exist now are going away. They will not exist going further.
It'll just
The
be the
only
Xbox
version
versions.
of the ROG Ally that is going to exist is the Xbox one.
Okay.
So even if you were a person who was thinking, I might do a ROG Ally, maybe there'll be some left still this holiday or whatever, but now it is that technically is an Xbox handheld. Like it is what it is because there is no other version of it, or at least there won't be anymore. So where last week the discussion that we were having was with the idea that, like, okay, so they'll probably put out a new ROG Ally, but that there's an Xbox version of the ROG Ally, right?
Mhm.
Not really. Like,
Not anymore.
only version of the ROG Ally is going to be the Xbox version,
Right.
which means that, considering it is going to be do all the things that the last one did, plus be Xbox, plus the ergonomics of the controllers and so forth, we are probably looking at like $800 or $900. People are estimating $1,000 for the higher end unit.
Yeah.
All right. When you can't actually say words, all you can do is laugh at
it.
Yeah. But that is where we are right now. We have to keep in mind that this is new hardware, but not next gen hardware, right?
Right.
It is, I guess, next gen for Asus, because it is an updated version of what the ROG Ally was.
Right.
But it's not technically
next.
It's not
gen.
like we're getting the next generation of Xbox in this handheld. It's current. Right. And that's the important piece of it, is that they want it to be something that can run what is currently available and the things that are coming in the not so distant future, if you will. Right.
Makes sense.
So to some extent, the way I view this, with that caveat now lodged firmly in place, right? Like, knowing what it is, it changes my perspective a little bit, right? Because now it's almost like this is their Xbox, like like their PS5 Pro to some extent. It is new hardware that didn't exist before, that does things that the hardware before it didn't do or couldn't do as well. But we're not changing the generation. We're adding another piece of hardware that does something
different. Yeah.
Right? Add some to the pot. Obviously it's not necessary if you already have a console.
True.
Unless you're just like, I need my stuff on the go. Right. But let's talk about what the use case is for an item like this. Top of the line, I am the super Xbox fan. That's the person who this is geared towards, right? Like, this is kind of like, here's a premium product for the people who have the money and want to dive in. Make sense?
It does.
Okay. If you are a person who is in the market for, or have been considering a handheld like a Steam Deck, right? This will technically be more powerful than this current Steam Deck. It won't have a nicer screen than the OLED,
of course,
but it technically will be more powerful than the Steam Deck, and will be able to run Steam games, and will be able to play some Xbox games natively, which is the other thing that is important. So what has become more clear in the days since the announcement, right? Pepsi Man says, if we're back in the day, I'd be outside Best Buy waiting for you. You know what? I would gladly be there. You know what I mean? Just knowing that mine was set aside and ready to go with pizza in line for everybody, right? Here's the thing. If you were thinking about a ROG Ally, why wouldn't you just do this, right? If you were in the market for a Steam Deck, why wouldn't you just do this? Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I think it's mostly like, what is your purpose in purchasing one? Like, what are the capabilities are you looking for that this may can do that the Steam Deck can't do? Like, someone who may wants to really go in and tinker with it and mod it the way they want will probably lean towards, I think, of Steam Deck, because it seems more open. where this one is more of the, like you said, Xbox super fan or somebody that just loves tech and just wants to collect all the gaming consoles, stuff like that out there, just a collector that wants to get their hands on it, things of that nature. I think it just depends on what you want it for.
I mean, I would think that, I mean, look, you can get a Steam Deck and make a Steam Deck play Xbox games. Like it's totally doable. But you got to do the work. Like you got to go in, not like necessarily remove the Steam OS, but you got to add Windows to it, which again, Steam is completely open to allowing you to do. You really are supposed to be able to do whatever you want with it. They're like, it's your Steam Deck, do what you want, right? But you're gonna have to do the additional work in order to make that be a thing that works.
Either now, do it yourself or find somebody that can do it for you. Yeah, all that stuff comes into play.
Now, if you are coming from a realm of console gaming, the plug and play, like the honest to goodness reason to stay in console gaming is just because it's simple. It's just easier, right? We're not dealing with drivers and like ridiculous updates and like this works on, I have this kind of architecture or this graphics card or whatever, and things are not exactly the same or whatever. Steam Deck has a lot of variables where a new game will usually come out, and most of the time when a new game comes out, it's not Steam Deck verified yet, which you're going to be in the same boat, right? But anything that's on Xbox should just work. That's the point. And it should be, pardon me, that everything going forward, for the most part,
should work. Yeah.
Will be a Play Anywhere title. So that Play Anywhere moniker, I think, is the important piece here, because not every title is a Play Anywhere title. A lot of them are, but not everything is. And what that really means is that if you're expecting that your entire Xbox library is going to work on the Xbox ROG Ally X, it's not. Only the stuff that is specifically Play Anywhere or really the stuff that is Xbox PC games. So there is still a difference between stuff that's released for consoles, stuff that's released for PC. As a matter of fact, just today they announced that Warcraft 1 and 2 Remastered and Warcraft 3 are coming into Game Pass, but only on PC.
So close, but okay, I'll take it. I'll take it though.
However, it should run on the Xbox ROG Ally because it is designed to run the PC version of those games, right? All right. Having kind of put that in a box and kind of taken what we knew last week, added in some of the new information that we've received, can you pull this video, run this video that they put out today, that I dropped in our chat for you, because what Sarah Bond is talking about here, it speaks volumes, and I think it's going to have an effect on what everything else is. So let's take a listen to this.
At Xbox, our vision is for you to play the games you want with the people you want, anywhere you want. That's why we're investing in our next generation hardware lineup across console, handheld, PC, cloud, and accessories. I am thrilled to share we've established a strategic multi-year partnership with AMD to co-engineer silicon across a portfolio of devices, including our next generation Xbox consoles, in your living room and in your hands. Together with AMD, we are advancing the state of art in gaming silicon to deliver the next generation of graphics innovation to unlock a deeper level of visual quality and immersive gameplay and player experiences enhanced with the power of AI, all while maintaining compatibility with your existing library of Xbox games. This is all about building you a gaming platform that's always with you, so you can play the games you want across devices anywhere you want, delivering you an Xbox experience not locked to a single store or tied to one device. That's why we're working closely with the Windows team to ensure that Windows is the #1 platform for gaming. The next generation of Xbox is coming to life, and this is just the beginning. We can't wait to show you what's next.
All right, look. Before I start trying to dissect and dig into what she said, what are your top line thoughts just based on what you just heard? I'm assuming you just heard this for the first time. You haven't watched the video. I can't hear you.
I watched it earlier today. I was just having some audio issues. Now I did watch it earlier today when you first sent it or whatever. I was afraid it's probably something, whatever it is, we're gonna talk about it tonight or whatever. That Play Anywhere is their main focus right now, and it's not just with the software that you see that they're working with the chips and everything. It's hardware. I mentioned new consoles, new devices you can play it on. That's plural, so that's, I'm guessing, cell phones, the ROG Ally, whatever else they may have, tablets, who knows, but they have plans to branch out more with devices reaching the homes and families and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely a big push they're doing with the Play Anywhere. I think the partnership with AMD, I think that's cool, especially with the state of everything right now. You don't know if you're going to be able to get chips or how much they're going to cost and everything. So kind of having that deal with AMD now going forward with all the stuff it sounds like you're trying to create and put out to everybody, I think that's a smart thing to have already in the tuck, have your deal with them. I think it's interesting. I do want to see more with the products things. That she sounds like they're going to be more of those kind of rolling out in the future in some way. So I'm definitely interested to see what that is. We've talked about the Stream Stick or something like that. You can just buy and plug in. That could be one of those little things that come along. It's just so many options with where the tech is going. So
yeah, it's interesting like if you kind of look at the rumors that we've talked about over the last couple of years. With, again, you mentioned the streaming stick, that being a piece of hardware that is their hardware that they develop versus them making the deal with Amazon and it just working on the Fire Stick. I think is kind of where that went. That doesn't mean they won't do something like that, but certainly partnering with somebody else who's already building the hardware to just make sure that from a software standpoint, what you have and you're delivering works makes sense. What's up, Zayna? And I think it's the same thing with the ROG. Like doing a deal with Asus that basically takes what was their unit off the market and makes their unit your unit, right? It really does kind of mean like, like this is, even though it's like made by somebody else and obviously it's an officially licensed product from Xbox, this is, for all intents and purposes right now, the Xbox handheld. And if Microsoft is planning to put out another handheld, whether they partner with somebody else or they do it on their own, technically they would be making a rival to someone they made a partnership with already. Right? What I think the most interesting thing about what was said in that statement that she made was, regardless of what store you buy it in, regardless of what platform it's on, regardless, right? Which to me says that we're probably looking at a world where if you are buying an Xbox title, like Microsoft is the largest game publisher on the planet with all of the property that they have purchased, right? Activision, Blizzard, like all of the stuff that they own, there is nobody that's a bigger publisher. They are in a position to do something like this, right? Where they really wouldn't have had the same ability to take something like this and make it work. But if what you're saying is, hey, if we put out, let's say Gears of War 6, right? And yep, it's going to be on Steam. You can buy it on Steam, but it'll work as long as you're logged into your Xbox.
It'll work for you. Yeah.
Your gamer tag, whatever it is, it's going to work. Like you can play it on your phone. You can play it on your Ally. You can play it on your tablet, play it on your TV, play it on your Fire Stick, play it on your laptop, whatever. But it also should mean that if you buy Gears of War 6 day one on PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 6, it should still be a Play Anywhere title.
Makes sense to me.
And you should still be able to log in and play it anywhere. What that means to me, because the other thing that was super important was we're working closely with Windows to make Windows the best gaming platform there is. Windows is on more things right now than most people really think about, right? Like we're streaming this right now. You're on a computer. You're running Windows. So am I. You know what I mean? But like, if Microsoft as a company can use games as a Trojan horse to get Windows into the places that previously we have only allowed Android, like a Fire Stick, like your television. Like if you have a smart TV, that TV is running Android, period. Right? If they're saying, regardless of where you buy it, we want you to be able to play it wherever you are, right? We want to give you access that's unprecedented no matter what. We're not making you buy another copy of the game. We want you in our ecosystem, right? So, yeah, jump on that other thing and log in.
Yeah, just log in. That's all we ask.
And let us collect your playtime and all your advertising information. You want to know what kind of TV you have, how old it is, what the model of it is, how often you use it, when it's on, when it's not on, and the address to the IP that is connected to the internet you're running it on. Like, we want all that information because we can sell all of it. And then you got to know that that is what the game is now.
Yeah, data.
So it is extremely interesting to me. We've talked about this. If I had to guess, and I don't, but I will, the next actual console is basically just, for real, is a PC that goes under your TV, that strips out the same thing they're doing with the ROG. We're putting Windows on this machine, but we're stripping out all of the stuff that you need to run it like it's a computer, right? So the next Xbox is going to be a PC running a version of Windows that has an Xbox OS that's on it for launching games and doing that. And realistically, what that means is you're probably not going to be launching Disney Plus, YouTube, all that kind of stuff through the Xbox OS. You're going to be doing that from Windows, which is already a thing that technically is a thing anyway. You know what I mean? You're generally running that kind of stuff in a browser regardless. Right? So their ability to take that, because just trust me when I say they said Windows, but they mean Bing.
They're gonna make us Bing it.
Bro, look. In terms of search engines, like, it's an important thing. There's so much data that comes from every search. Anytime you do a search, it is populating all of the different searches that other people have done to find you the information that you're looking for. Now all of them are run by AI, because she certainly also mentioned AI. And it also sounds to me like they're not necessarily looking to push the really, really heavy graphics and power from that standpoint. They're looking to push the ability of the chip to use AI to upscale your video and give you 120 hertz, 60 hertz, 60 frames a second. What that means is that you're likely to be able to get better battery life, because batteries aren't really getting better. But as we continue to make product that has to be more powerful, those batteries can't last as long. It's just not how it works. So if you're able to take the physical content and say, okay, here's what we're giving you. The processor does this, but it doesn't have to do the heavy lifting because the AI is
the
what's
chip
making
does,
it.
right? And it's
The
helping
AI
into all that
making
stuff. Yeah.
Then now
Takes the
you're
load
talking
off.
about better battery performance, with which when you start talking about having a handheld, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you.
That's one of the key. That's number one thing.
Push all the content out the window.
Yeah, that's all. That's the biggest thing with handhelds. It's that battery life.
I don't care how dope the games are that you have on your handheld portable device. If it turns out that the most powerful thing that's there, I have to run at subpar settings in order to be able to play it, because the battery is going to die really quick, right? And if you've been looking, most of the reviews for the Switch 2 are really solid. Like, none of them are bad, but none of them are like, oh my goodness, this is the next best thing, right? It's a better version of the original Switch, with the exception of the battery life.
It's always that battery life.
If you remember when the first Switch came out, within a few months, they put out a second version of it, didn't tell anybody, put a better battery in it.
Yes.
That was before they did the OLED.
That's the one
Right.
that's the one I went and got when they switched to the version 2 one because of the battery life. I was like, well, yeah, I'll switch it out just for the battery life. I'm down with that.
Right.
I need that battery life. Yeah.
But again, that's the point. Like, we don't want to be tethered. We don't want to be plugged in. If you tell me something is handheld, it has to work and the battery has to last. And that's the thing that once you get past that, then it is compatibility and it needs to be seamless. So I will tell you that I have been doing the most research because many times on this show, Sin, I let you pretend you have a number. How many times have I said to you, I don't really have a need for a handheld? It doesn't make sense for me.
You say it all the time. You don't have one. Yeah. Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
It why? Like, I drive wherever I'm going. You know what I mean? Like, it's rare that I'm on like a flight, you know what I mean? Or something like that. So like a handheld doesn't really do me any good. However, considering this and only considering it, if I know I can hook it up, right? Because I take my Xbox everywhere I go.
Right.
That's a giant piece of equipment.
This will be a lot easier on the bag and the shoulders and the back. To be able to
it
have
still
this.
makes more sense and it's much cheaper to just get a Series S, right? And do that.
Yeah.
But if I had something that had a screen that I could do whatever, and again, most important thing is I log in, I connect to Wi-Fi, and everything just works. Whether I'm streaming from the cloud or I'm playing directly from whatever on the hard drive. And again, supposedly, I need to look into this, but supposedly you can do SD cards for the ROM, which will make,
Okay.
Yeah.
See, now
Yeah.
you're talking something. Okay, because we said it last week. That space is super important, especially with these consoles now.
Correct.
They take up so much space.
I've already said, I think that the next thing that's coming from them in terms of a console that sits under your TV is basically going to be a PC. And I 100% expected to play Steam. Like, I expect it to be basically a Windows PC that is Xbox branded, right? And has an Xbox OS for booting those titles, those games, but that it will also run Steam. And what that means is, yes, you will be able to play PlayStation titles when they come to Steam on that Xbox, because that's what they're trying to do. So not just like, oh, Microsoft's putting out this game and it's also on PlayStation, but not like the PlayStation exclusive quote unquote titles that eventually come to PC that are in Steam will be there, right? And when they say regardless of what store you buy it in, to me that says they're talking to Epic.
Yep.
They're talking about the Epic Game Store and having that stuff be available to you there as well. We want to put out the product that allows you to access everything, no matter what. Right? Obviously, PlayStation is not going to play nice with that. And Nintendo is not going to play nice with that. Right? But for everything else, which is so many more games and is so much more of the general population when you just think about how many Steam games there are and how many people play there, right? The idea of Steam tried this. If you remember, Steam had the Steam box.
Yes.
Which were like PCs that basically went under your it didn't work because it was Steam. And the truth is, nobody knows what Steam really is.
Outside of PC gamers.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I know it sounds crazy, but everybody knows what PlayStation is, and everybody knows what Xbox is. We all know what Nintendo is. If Sega tried to do it, maybe it works, right?
Right.
Steam boxes that are made by a bunch of different manufacturers that might go under, like it's 3DO back in the day.
3DO. Flashback. Oof.
Yeah. It didn't work because they don't, for as popular as they are within the gaming community that does play on PC, outside of that, nobody knows who they are. So nobody's buying that.
You can see a Steam box sitting on the shelf and they would just What's that? Look away. Like where's the switch at? I know what that is.
Well, remember that the big thing then was like there's a big TV mode thing that you can do and you can make. I mean, and this was like 15, almost 20 years ago, right? And, hook up your HDMI cable to it or whatever, and it works. And there were people who were just like, but I really can just like run an HDMI cable from my PC to the TV if I really want to do that, right? It's not, you know what I mean? So again, unless your use case is that your PC is just completely in another room and you want to be able to do it on a different TV,
right?
You're not spending the money for that. But having the Xbox name under it, having the Microsoft name under it, having the Windows logo is very different, right? Yeah. And I want to remind people that the only reason why the Xbox exists is because they were afraid of Sony taking over the living room. When Sony made the PlayStation 2, they were literally touting how powerful it was and how you could chain link them joints together and basically make them more powerful than some of the most powerful Pentium, whatever 3s or whatever that were available at the time. And that was an issue for Microsoft as a company. We cannot let them get into the living room and take over that space, right? So how are we going to do that? How are we going to get in that space? Well, they're already in there with the CD player. Now they've got the PS2 and that's got the DVD player. And so they put that joint in everybody's living room, right? And that literally changed the face of gaming because the PlayStation 2 took the game system that was normally the kid's system that just went in the kid's room. Now that joint needs to be in the living room because it's our DVD player and it's the player for everyone. And so it also means sometimes you can't play because I need to use this.
I was right? Blu-ray that we watching at night. DVD, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what it was. And that's what they were attempting to do. And Xbox was like, we can't let them do that. Right? With disk drives out of the way, I don't imagine the next consoles are going to have disk drives at all. I don't think so either. Yeah, I know that people are upset about it, but they'll get over it. Then it'll be retro, and then somebody will put something out, and it'll be cool again. Like that's fine. I just don't think. What up, Sam? We miss you too. I don't think there's any other way that this goes, and if they're not necessarily talking about the product being more powerful because of what the AI can do, it might keep price points down. Right? Cuddy said it was so cheaper than the original Blu-ray players too. You're talking PS3. That was the second Trojan horse. That was PS3. PS3 was also a sneak attack, yes. Because when that came out at like $700 and I think $800, there was two. The cheapest Blu-ray player at the time was still $1,000. And not only was it a less expensive Blu-ray player, but it was also a better Blu-ray player. It was also one of the only Blu-ray players on the market that had Ethernet.
Oh, so yeah.
So that you could update. Because remember, Blu-rays actually needed updates. They didn't need updates, but you could update them and get new trailers and stuff like that on them and whatever. So yeah, I mean, again, it was a pretty solid sneak attack, and it worked at least in terms of kicking HD DVD out of the way.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time I think in a long time where I think that Microsoft, not necessarily specifically Xbox, but Microsoft has been in a position to have this much control and do something that's this out of the ordinary or buck the system in a way where it actually has the most potential to work because, again, of the amount of control they have, right? Like they own so much.
Yeah.
Right? And right now, all of the number one selling titles on PlayStation are all Microsoft titles.
It's got to grind their gears.
You kind of can't. I mean, maybe, but it's not like they're not making money.
True.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like PlayStation's not still collecting their 30% from every sale that happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When somebody buys on their platform. But that also means that 30% they're collecting on PlayStation is 70% that's going to Microsoft. And that might be grinding their gears. But like, can you really be mad if like Forza Horizon 5 is tearing up the charts on your platform where like there's money coming in that like, yes, Microsoft was making money off of it, but you weren't making money at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now it's not hurting you for it to be there. It might make you work a little harder on whatever Polyphony Digital is going to do with Gran Turismo. Maybe. Hopefully. Because they're literally side by side on the same platform now. You're not talking about competing from a place where like we got this game and it's a great racing game and you can say it's better than Forza, but like nobody who only has a PlayStation will ever actually know that. You know what I'm saying?
Now things are changing.
Now,
yeah. Yep.
You got to come with it.
Yep.
And you have to understand that it's a huge vote of confidence on your own. Like, if you're like, our game is better than your game, here, put it on your platform and watch. Like that, like, that's literally like when NFL 2K was like, we dropped this joint to $19. We way better than Madden.
Confident. Prove us wrong.
$20. Madden was like, hey, we gotta get this NFL license right now. Dropped Madden to $30 and was like, we not doing this no more. That's real. And that is two competing pieces of software side by side, available for you to play both on your PlayStation or both on your Xbox or both on your Dreamcast, on your GameCube, I guess at the time. You know, having it side by side and being like, all right, well, let's just see what happens.
Let's just see what happens. And then things start happening.
It's a very big change when the people who have always hated but never actually touched the title to now be like, hey, dog.
Hey, this Forza Horizon kind of fire.
This joint kind of cooking.
And start seeing them numbers, and those numbers drop on one side and start seeing them go up on the other one. Yeah, people gonna start. Yeah, it's gonna start. Perking up.
Because keep in mind, there's people playing Forza Horizon 5 on PlayStation right now, driving a Warthog.
Yes, all around Mexico.
That's like, again, that's the trick. Like that's the trick. Like we putting it in there. So now, I mean, look, truthfully, if you listen to what she's saying, who knows what it really means?
Just speculating for now.
Now I need some feedback from you. So the rumor is the ROG Xbox Allies are going to drop in October.
Okay.
That's the rumor. Are we going to see a new hardware reveal from Microsoft this year? Game Awards, Paris Games Week, Gamescom. Is it happening? Tokyo Game Show.
I want to say no, but I can see like the little what am I drawing a blank? Little fire sticker with the sticker, whatever. I see something like that being announced. I can see something like that still being announced. I don't see like a whole nother system or nothing like that. Now they got this coming out. They're gonna put all their efforts toward promoting that, pushing that, getting out to the stores. So I think it'll be something smaller, like a new controller or like a stick. That's what I think. So maybe.
I think I think they might actually do a full-on reveal. Here's why.
Okay.
I cannot recall a time ever where they've made like a video like this, where they're just like, oh, by the way, we on next gen. We doing it. Like, think about it. Like you announced new hardware like a week and a half ago, right? Summer Games Fest just ended. You could have said this then. There's no way you didn't have this planned already then. So why are you telling us right now in the middle of summer, right after Summer Game Fest, right? And right before you drop new hardware that you're working on new hardware. They already told us like, because they're always working on the new hardware. So that's not even, but you might like, but that's a thing that like we kind of always know as like gamers. Like we always know they're working on whatever the next thing is going to be, right? You made a very public statement. That's like a, hey, shareholders, guess what we about to do? Like, that's like you shot a pre-recorded video and dropped it on everything, right? Everything social media. You did it on YouTube. You did it on Twitter. It's on Reels, on Instagram. Xbox dropped it. Game Pass dropped it. Sarabon dropped it. Like, everybody, like, it's all over the place. And it's the only thing anybody's talking about other than Bungie delaying Marathon, which is not good by comparison in terms of optics, right? Why would you say that now? What is the purpose of doing that right now? Unless you're trying to either build confidence for people that if I buy the ROG Ally, if I spend the money for that, whatever that price point is going to be, I'm good, because they're talking about in that video, we're working on forward and backwards compatibility. Your entire life, like they're using the words that people need to hear, because technically right now, from what it sounds like, realistically, your entire library doesn't come over. That means they have to work on some form of an emulator or something like that that works in the background, whether that's AI or something else, that will allow your library to come over. Because again, what's the point in saying that? What's the point in putting out a handheld if you don't actually have access to your entire library?
True. Very true.
That's what my expectation is. You know what I mean? Like,
that's something that gamers are worried about.
That's smaller. That they're only making games for that. Yeah. It's not like the Switch.
Gamers are steady worried about their libraries transferring, especially now that everybody's saying, well, the creators are saying that you don't own these titles, their licenses, and all that kind of stuff. So everybody's really, really keeping their eye close on that type of stuff, because now that we're getting ready to move it to a new gen. Like, yes, there's all this stuff that I've been collecting and building up. Is that coming over with me just seamlessly and easy, or do I not own the licenses to this stuff and y'all going to be weird and creepy about it and, fishy? So it's important.
See, the thing about the dude who lost like 1,000 hours and like, I don't know, 100 Pokemon or something when he tried to switch his stuff over from his old Switch to his new Switch, to the Switch 2.
No.
Because they trash. Because they don't have that kind of stuff figured out. And I'm telling you right now, dog, like, if you have ever, I mean, we was doing this with Xbox One, but like, if you have ever just like gone to somebody else's house and just logged in to their box with your, you know what I'm saying, with your game, like all your stuff is just there. All your saves are in the cloud, everything. That joint just be like, hold on, we're syncing.
Yep.
And good to go. Like it's seamless. From playing on the phone to going back to the console and back and forth or whatever, like it just works. And that's what it had. Like it has to do that.
Right. Yeah. It can't be no finagling or anything when it comes to transferring your stuff over. It's got to be smooth and seamless. It has to be. So
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
How long do we have before they announce a price increase for Game Pass?
I'm not going to say I have like a specific date and time, but I'll say before the end of the year.
Okay.
They'll have it in place before the holidays come around. Before it gets too close, so people may have already gotten used to what the price point is going into the holidays.
Okay. Let's talk about this marathon delay. I guess first, do you care?
Marathon does nothing to interest me. I mean, because it's tied to Bungie, I wanted to like give it like that space.
Right.
Like, all right, let you
Right.
breathe. Let me see what you're cooking. But so far, what's come out of it, it's been nothing to spark any interest. Like, I'd rather just go back and play Destiny.
I'm gonna read from the Bungie.net blog.
Okay.
This says Marathon Development Update. Thank you not only for your passionate feedback around the Marathon reveal and alpha playtest, but also for your patience while we took the time to listen closely and chart our next steps.
Okay.
Through every comment and real-time conversation on social media and Discord, your voice has been strong and clear. We've taken this to heart, and we know we need more time to craft Marathon into the game that truly reflects your passion. After much discussion with our dev team, we've made the decision to delay the September 23rd release. I'm going to stop there. Here's why I'm going to stop there.
Close enough, thought. Okay.
Correct. It was supposed to be coming out very soon.
Yeah, that was September. Ooh.
It also didn't look like it was ready when they showed it to me, but that here nor there. They say in that after much discussion with our dev team, blah, blah, blah. But there are people from the dev team posting to Blue Sky and whatever that they found out when we found out. Like when that blog post went live, that's when they knew.
Wow.
And that doesn't mean we didn't have a discussion and people didn't say, I mean, it's going well, but it's not going as well.
Yeah,
or whatever.
We can use a few more months on this thing or something like that. Yeah.
And maybe they just didn't say, okay, you can have a few more months. Maybe they just didn't say that, which is, but then they say the alpha test created an opportunity for us to calibrate and focus the game on what will make it uniquely compelling. What will make it uniquely compelling? Survival under pressure, mystery and lore around every corner, raid-like in-game challenges, and Bungie's genre-defining FPS combat. We're using this time to empower the team to create the intense, high-stakes experience that a title like Marathon is built around. This means deepening a relationship between the developers and the game's most important voices, our players. Over the next few months, we'll continue closed testing, including participants from the alpha, to deploy gameplay updates and test new features as they come online. Then they go into like some of what their immediate focuses are and so forth. And then at the end, it says you'll hear from us again later this fall when we can share the progress we've made alongside the game's new release date. Thank you again for your patience. Much more importantly, your passion, your continued feedback will help us make Marathon the incredible gaming experience we all know it can be. So we don't know when it got delayed to. We do know that they are planning to say something again in the fall. I'm assuming maybe around what the original release date was. And
roll out some more alphas and betas and stuff like that for people to get in and test what they've been working on. So that's good to hear.
I'm certainly not expecting this year.
No. This is 2020, mid to late 2026 at best.
Okay. Is Bungie in trouble?
Yeah. I know they've been dealing with issues with Destiny for some time now, and with this supposed to be the next big thing to come out from the creators of Destiny, like you gotta land on point when this thing drops and it's released. Like Destiny's going through uphills and downhills with stuff they've done and changed and broken and fixed it, so it's got to be right when it comes out. It can't be nothing else.
That all of those assets, those art assets that they found that were stolen, from this artist, and that they're likely being sued, right? Unless they make some sort of a deal with that artist to keep the stuff. But the last thing we heard about it was that they went through and they scrubbed everything that came from that artist out of the game that they're aware of. But they also have to scrub through everything else to make sure there isn't anything else in there.
Yeah,
like that, right? That takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of work, because how are you supposed to know, right? If what they're saying is true, which is they're saying an artist who no longer works for us did that, put that in there and we didn't know, whatever. Well, even if he was still working for you or she was still working for you, you still wouldn't have known until it was out, right? Like,
Yeah.
So there's that, right? There is possibly the kind of readjusting what the look and feel of it is, because that was taken in some ways from somewhere else. They could be looking at a lawsuit of some sort, which could be really bad for them and could do something with their timeline and so forth. It could also mean that they could put something out that then somebody has the right to have them do a cease and desist and say, you guys can't sell any more of this, and people can't play it or whatever until this goes through court or whatever it is. So there's a lot that's happening with that. If you think Bungie is in trouble, what do you think that means for Bungie? Does that mean Bungie shuts down? Does that mean major layoffs?
I think a little bit of everything. I think possibly shutting down, people getting let go, people transferring to different places that they think still got the talent they're looking for. I think it could be probably a little bit of all that stuff to try to trim the fat or whatever, or cut whatever things they need to get rid of to try to keep. I can see them trying to keep it together somewhat because it is Destiny, it is Bungie, and they bought them to run Destiny and yada 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 stuff. But I can see it getting stripped down if they don't correct this shit and get whatever other financial stuff like you talked about with dude or whatever, or he or she get corrected and straightened out. I can see it getting them having a tough time going forward.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are a lot of developers that make FPSs. There are a lot of developers that are making FPSs that Bungie hasn't jumped into. Like, they're jumping into a genre that isn't something that they had really done before in terms of not the shooting mechanics, but the gameplay mechanics, just like what the point of the game is, right? And you have so many other shooters that exist now and so many other things that are out there that, like, Bungie was special, but I don't know if Bungie is special. And I'm just going to keep that a buck. Like, I don't even know really, we talk about Bungie as if they're the same Bungie that made the Halo we fell in love with. The people who are there could all be completely different people. You know what I mean? Like, so they might be using the engines and stuff that were there so the mechanics feel right or whatever, but it doesn't necessarily mean that, like, the people who built the games or
and soul of those people, that started
like, all of that is
are still there.
And I think that's the thing about game developers for me, is that a lot of times we give a lot of praise to a developer who's done one thing. And it takes so long to make a new game and get that game off the ground that, like, when you're more or less a one-trick pony, which, I kind of hate to say that, but it because it's okay to be like, this is what we do. We make first-person shooters. This is the game we make, right? But we give a lot of love and a lot of credence to, like, a developer when it's like, well, they really only made one game, right? And that's all right. So they have two games, and those games are very similar in terms of the mechanics or whatever, right? We're not going to pretend that, like, when Destiny came out, it had a great story and everybody was in love with it. People were making fun of it and hated it, and the moon and making fun of it and all that kind of stuff. We got to remember those, those kinds of things. So, like, Marathon is deep in their, lore in terms of a game that they made before anybody really knew who they were. Like, they weren't, super duper public facing in terms of what the IP is. But in terms of what they're trying to turn the game into, I don't even know if that's a thing people really want. I don't. And I would have considered myself a Bungie fan. There was definitely a time that I would have considered myself a Bungie fan. But I'm really not, so to speak, anymore. Like, they haven't been doing a thing that really speaks well to me anymore. So it's hard to say. I am hopeful, though, that they'll right the ship and that Marathon comes out, and if they're smart, isn't a PS5 PC exclusive. Like, it needs to be on Xbox too. It probably needs to be a Play Anywhere title. The more people you can get on a
Free to
game
play.
like that, the better they. You know what I mean? Like just the
Don't put no big price
higher
tag
the
on it.
likelihood.
Don't do that.
Yeah,
There's too many free shooters out here that are winning right now. Don't hurt yourself like that.
Hey dog, did you see? This isn't on my list, but Fortnite dropped a trailer today for a new game mode, a new Lego game mode that
No.
It's basically Helldivers in Fortnite, but Lego. And it's supposed to be like a new permanent game mode that's coming to Fortnite. And I'm like, all right, that joint is on everything. And what's the biggest issue with Helldivers?
It's only on the freaking PlayStation.
Stuck on
I would have
PlayStation,
had it by now.
stuck on PC. That's the biggest problem, right? So as well as it did, and as much of a surprise as it was a less expensive titles, like $35 or $40 or whatever when it came out. Yeah. People were all over it. Fortnite's like,
we can do that.
Not only can we do it, we can do it in Lego.
Yep.
When we blow stuff up, when we wreck stuff, whatever, and it's just
bricks,
Lego piece, like
bricks everywhere.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, like, they really coming to get everybody's lunch, bro. Everybody's lunch. Sin, I'm gonna apologize ahead of time.
Why are you apologizing?
I'm sorry.
I said, why are you apologizing?
Oh, because we gotta talk about Superman. So
son of a okay.
Not really. We don't really have to talk about Superman per se.
Oh, good. Let's go.
I kind of want to talk about, because Superman is looming on the horizon, right? And in the last couple of weeks, James Gunn has said, "Yep, we are looking for our next Wonder Woman. We're doing a Wonder Woman movie. We're like," and then like a few days ago, they announced a Mr. Miracle animated show that's supposed to be adult, blah, blah, blah. That is also supposed to be within the same universe. And I have thoughts, but I want to give you an opportunity to speak on what you would really like to see happen with the overall DCU. Because I have some issues with just what Superman looks like, not the man, like not the guy's face. Where do you see this going? Marcus said, knew that was on the horizon. Where do you see this going? Like, where do you want to actually see this lead? Like, do you think this is leading to a Justice League down the road? Do you think that, like, what are we doing? Where are we going?
Right now, I'm literally just enjoying the ride, and I'm looking forward to start seeing these James Gunn properties come out and seeing like his vision of how he's trying to shape things and put things together. That's the most thing I'm like looking forward to right now. I don't care what happens to the DC EU. We've tried a few times to get this thing right, and they just haven't got it right yet. So I'm not stressing myself about seeing where it's going. I'm just going to enjoy the ride. James Gunn, he said he's got these, he's doing these characters, this here, some shows, some games, some movies. Like, it's all going to be tied to one thing. Okay, I hear what you're saying. I need to see you execute it now. That's all I need to see. So Creature Commandos was, technically the first one. I got to finish watching that. We got Superman coming out. It's getting ready to,
I enjoyed that.
From what I saw, that's like the first 3 episodes. But
okay.
But yeah, Superman's supposed to be like the first really big jumping on point. So, okay, we've seen this, got all these other characters in the movie. Let me just see it and just see, maybe get a beginning idea of maybe kind of like where you're trying to take this whole thing, what I'm saying, going down the road. But it's hard to really get a focus on it when I don't know where his brain is going with it. Who knows?
Yeah, well, that's why I'm asking, what do you like? I think where I'm coming from is if I could drop the DCEU altogether and act like that never happened, right? I feel like the thing that we've been talking about the entire time was like how incredible the DC animated stuff was, and how that never managed to translate to the live action, right? But they also were not technically part of the same universe, right? And even the animated stuff wasn't even really. There are some arguments to be had about a couple of the animated films, but for the most part, the animated stuff also, they all exist kind of on their own. Like they weren't anyway part of like, they weren't part of like the old Batman animated universe. They weren't part of like any of that. These were standalone, whatever, even though some of them were like sequels to one another and so forth. But they are so good.
Oh, they are. Yeah.
They're so good. What I feel right now is that I'm not getting any of that in what James Gunn is doing. Like none of it. And that's a problem for me. I'm not saying that what he's doing won't work or that it won't be good. I'm not saying there won't be success and that it won't make money. I can tell you right now that there are a couple of things that I think are happening, specifically when I look at what Superman looks like. I feel like there is, in some cases, a push to try to make the movies look like the comics. So if you look at the comic books, like the Superman comics they are pulling from, they are trying to make it look like that in terms of like how bright things are and how whatever. I also think that they might be over adjusting for how dark the DCEU was and how gritty and kind of muddy Zack Snyder was making that universe when he was at the helm of it. Like how dark Man of Steel was, and Justice League, and all of them really. Even Aquaman has some bright moments underwater or whatever, but for the most part, like they kind of stayed with a very like monotone, just kind of a deep, like lots of grays and that kind of thing, right? I would much rather, and I can appreciate somebody wanting to put their own spin and their own take on it. Like I think that's important, and I think that happens in comic books all the time. I don't necessarily think that's what this is though, because I feel like what this is somebody pulling from comics they've already read and then attempting to make them look like those comics. So I don't necessarily give credence to you like doing your own thing, so to speak. But you could, even if you're just pulling from those storylines. What I have right now is some sort of a deep-rooted hate when I look at the Superman trailers. And y'all know that, like, while I don't like Superman. I hate Superman, but I don't hate him the way Sin hates him. Kind of the way, like, I love and appreciate anime, but not the way Sin does. You know, like, it's not, you know what I mean? There's levels, right? What I see when I look at the trailers for Superman looks like Suicide Squad, James Gunn's Suicide Squad to me, which I think is disgusting. It looks like Peacemaker, and I hate it because everything looks fake, and I hate that. So, like, when I'm watching the Superman trailer and he's fighting like the giant kaiju, that joint looks fake. Like, it looks like they tried to make a Muppet look like it had real skin. Like, it looks like he's fighting like a giant axolotl. Like, it is the stupidest look. It doesn't look threatening at all. It looks funny. The way that they made Starro, which for all intents and purposes should be threatening. Starro, even in the animated shows, Starro's a threat. But they made him a clown. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the grand scheme of things, which you can kind of accept in the Suicide Squad because of what the Suicide Squad is. You can accept that kind of in Peacemaker with like the kind of silly, like,
yeah,
mantis bug thing or whatever. All right. But come on, dog. Like, it looks like Superman's fighting a giant puppy of some sort. Like, it's too much. And like, Metamorpho looks corny. Like, he looks cheesy. It looks like they used CG and made him look the way he would have looked if he was going to be in the 1989 Ninja Turtles live action. Like, it looks like a man in a rubber suit. Like, it looks like the way that one section that Nathan Fillion was in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, where they were on like that planet that was just like goop, that stupid kind of goofy, like everything looks like it's made out of foam. None of it looks like you can take it seriously. Like, when you look at Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner walking around with his Green Lantern ring, him in his suit, like his suit looks like it looks like cheap. It looks corny. It looks fake. And I don't like it. Right? Because what it's doing is it is removing the need for there to even be a live action version of this. Because the whole point for me, if you're going to try to make it live action, is to make it look like it would look if they really existed. Right? And if you're not going to do that, why are we doing this?
Yeah, then what's the point?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And as much dislike as I have for Superman as a character, I have a lot of love for Superman as a franchise. And it feels like, and I know this isn't the case, but it feels like they're making fun of it. And I don't like that. Like, Lex Luthor seems like a caricature of Lex Luthor. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels overdone. Like, I'm not even, listen, I can't hold you. This is how I feel. When I look at the trailers for Superman, mark this down. When I look at the trailers for Superman, it looks like Saturday Night Live is doing a parody trailer for a Superman movie. That's what it looks like to me. And I hate it.
You made me almost want to watch the new trailer just so I can laugh at it.
I mean, I don't know if it'll be like, I pull it up. I'm not, I'm saying, like, I think that the complaints that people have about it, like, people are complaining about like how his face looks when he's flying and like what kind of lenses they're using and all that kind of stuff, man. Like, it isn't that for me, but I feel like people have the kind of complaints they had about what Sonic looked like when they first revealed Sonic, and then they had to go back. That was atrocious.
That was disgusting.
Like, there's a through line for James Gunn. Like, everything's gonna feel like a James Gunn thing, right? And I'm not the biggest fan of that, to be 100%. But all right,
Superman.
That joint looks fake. I hate it. My bad.
The most powerful being on planet Earth. We finally meet. Now, as planned, I'll destroy you. And of course, that reporter you always do interviews with. Who raised you as a child? I'll kill them too.
No matter what you do to me, Luther, your plans won't work.
Wrap it up.
Good luck with that.
Make a move, Big Blue.
Buckle up.
They chose him. Let them die.
Hey! Quit messing around!
I'm not messing around. I'm doing important stuff.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Yeah, the CG looks gooey. It's so gooey at
It
times.
looks like all the rest of it. I mean, it looks like all the rest of the gun.
Yeah, it does.
CG.
It does.
It feels unserious. And like, yeah, the teeth flying out hit the screen, Cuddy. I don't know,
Put on your
bro.
3D
Like,
glasses for that one.
oh, of course. Here's the thing. I'm not against having some levity. Like, of course, it looks like there's obviously gonna be moments of it being serious and him getting defeated and whatever. But like, we already know how the joint's gonna end.
Yeah.
So like, all right,
He's gonna save the day.
in this. He's been Superman for like 3 years already. People know who he is. Whatever. Luthor don't bang with him. He's gonna defeat him. They're gonna lock him up. Gonna use Metamorpho to put the kryptonite on him. Metamorpho is going to use him to get his son, so that in order to save his son, he's going to turn his body into the light, so that he gets his charge back, and they're gonna break out, and then he's gonna come back. I like this. The story tells itself.
Yeah.
Ellis said, but they're gonna sell so many toys, and the itty bitty kids are gonna be happy. Yeah, you know what, sir? You're gonna be happy with your itty bitty toys. I'm not saying they're not going to make a mint. I'm also not saying that the movie's not going to do well. I am going to say that I'm not saying the movie's not going to be good. I'm saying I don't like the way it looks. And that's like a solid 30% of the score for me. Like, it has
and
to
going
look
forward,
like,
yeah, doing this under James Gunn, like the future may be looking like this going forward with more projects.
I give a little bit of leeway to something like Peacemaker because it's a TV show. And so like my expectation for kind of what it looks like and how they handle CG and whatever is one thing.
Different from a blockbuster film.
It's very different from that. And again, like when I look at, I don't know, dog, just whatever creature Luthor stole from the Superman zoo, the Kryptonian zoo, and let out, I guess it's some sort of pet. I don't know. It just doesn't look good to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes me more concerned about everything else that they do. Because again, I know that James Gunn has a lot of love for Superman, right? Like I know that he loves the material and all that. I know that he loves the character.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that there's any intention to make it not good. Like he wants it to be good and wants it to be taken seriously. And I get all of that. I don't think that the way that it's happening right now is that. I don't feel like it's doing justice to what it is that he would be attempting to accomplish based on that. And so that's making me concerned about what a Wonder Woman is going to look like. Because again, we had this discussion. She doesn't have any villains.
None that are good, yeah.
So what are we doing, right? You can find the most gorgeous woman on the planet to play her. We've done that multiple times. That's not going to cut it. People will go see it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
but that's not going to do it. It might work once. You know what I'm saying? But it ain't necessarily going to work a second time. You know what I mean? Like I can't follow that. And so it really does make me wonder, like, what is the actual point? And when you have the kind of love that James Gunn has for the characters, and you're like, you know what we should do? We need to do a Mr. Miracle show, and it needs to be adult. Why are we doing that? I'm not saying there's not a story to be told there. I love Big Barda. So I know that we're getting Big Barda because we're getting Miss, and she's in the promo material.
Yeah.
I'm with it. I'm 100% with it. But if we're not getting the dark side, and if we're not, like, if we ain't about to go to Granny Goodness,
Very
our
much
jokes
so.
always come to the Zoom meetings late. You know what I'm saying, else? Yeah, like, if we're not doing that, I don't know, bro. And I'm gonna tell you what. If Darkseid shows up looking like that axolotl, that cheap, like foam-looking CG animal, dog, I'm out, dog. Because he's not a threat. I can't with that. I need Darkseid to be that guy. Like
Facts.
Thanos
That
is
guy.
purple. And that man was a threat.
Straight up. He pulled up as a
All chin
threat.
and everything. Slim was a threat.
Bro, just copy and paste Darkseid from Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. I'll be cool with that.
But they can't, though.
I know.
It looks so bad, bro. That's my biggest issue. Is what it looks like. And I feel like there's slightly over manufacturing. I feel like because we do have the technology to show how powerful Superman is, that we're overdoing it. Because one of the most incredible things about the Justice League, like as a show, and Justice League Unlimited, is that Superman he gets whooped all the time. Superman never gets to go hard. He has one really good joint with Darkseid.
Where that was at the end.
But not even that. Like, there's one like before that. But of course, at the end, when he's like, the whole world is cardboard to me. That's you know what I mean? And finally, I get to let loose. I mean, all right, take it to the moon. But like, for real, like, I feel like there's a need to really show how powerful someone like him is. And so you have to create these situations in what should, like, think about it. Smallville, great show, lasted for 10 seasons, no powers. Like, he's not Superman. He doesn't even fly, bro. Right? If you take all of the Superman content that has been really, really good, none of it is about his powers. None of it. None of it. It's about him trying to survive, like living a regular life. It almost makes him Peter Parker. Lois and Clark, like, kind of and again, like, we're talking about times when we didn't have the best of CG, especially not in like TV budget.
Oh no.
TV.
No.
They made it work for seasons, bro. People didn't tune in because it was Superman. The joint was called Lois and Clark. So, like, but if you do a movie and the title of the movie is Superman,
You need Superman.
Superman in there.
Yeah.
Superman, and you open the joint, the first trailer, the first teaser, Slim is whooped. You understand what I'm saying? Which is kind of like, all right, let's go for some humanity. Let's kind of show some weaknesses. Let's kind of, you know what I mean? So, yeah, let's give him some real conflict. So I think that there'll be some of that there. But I'm concerned about the physical execution of it, not necessarily the storyline execution of it. I'm concerned about the physical execution of it. and what that really means. If I go in and the story's really good, but I don't like the way it looks, that might not work for me. What I can tell you is that I can go to a puppet show and enjoy that joint if the story is good. Have you ever seen The Great Muppet Caper? A+. A+, bro. Muppets Take Manhattan? A+, bro. Have you ever seen Kermit get hit by a taxi, dog? Lose his memory? A+, bro.
I can sit down and watch some Thunderbolt Fantasy right now and be lit.
What? What?
Thunderbolt Fantasy is fire.
But again, I know going in though, like what I'm looking at is supposed to look like Muppets. It's supposed to be, it's Gelflings, dog. Like it's the Dark Crystal. Like I know that that's what I'm supposed to be getting going in. Otherwise, that mix between the two needs to be much more Star Wars, Yoda puppet against real people. This like CG and what all that is, it needs to not look like it's fake.
Like a
It needs to
cutscene from
not
a video
feel
game.
like it's, and that's what it feels
Cutscenes
like.
from the video games be looking good though.
Cutscenes from what?
From video games. Sim was like
certain people can do it to where it looks like that. Then you have other
You
ones.
said in video games?
Yes. It's a CG in video games sometimes.
Oh yeah, like, bro, the CG intro to DC Universe Online is still one of the
greatest jumps.
Fire.
It's one of the. Oh my god, hey, bro.
I thought I had two separate games.
Let me tell you
I'll
something.
never forget when they first showed that. I was like, what game? What is this? And then they hit the DC
dog.
Universe Online. I was just like,
that was incredible.
I was like, oh, this can't look like this. You know what I'm saying? Like that. When my man rolled Wonder Woman over and she had all the pieces of kryptonite in her mouth, I was like, oh, this is what we doing? Let's go. Like, that's the Luthor I need. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the, like, give me that. I take that in a heartbeat. Right now, I can tell you that if you go on YouTube and you just type in Injustice 1 story and just watch the story from Injustice, so, bro, you don't need to do nothing else. And I'm gonna keep it a buck. That's the Superman story we need.
Yeah.
That's the joint we need, because that will truly let you show what Superman can do. Because Slim gotta go off. He gotta go off. Otherwise, we gotta get to like Apocalypse real quick. Real quick, so we can really see what Superman can do. That's just, I don't know. I'm having a hard time with it. There's only one thing left on the docket. We're not going to dwell too long on it, but did you see that Disney is completing the acquisition of Hulu?
Didn't see that.
Did not see that.
I thought they already had them, so I was trying to see.
So they had the majority. They had the majority stake in it, which they got when they purchased Fox, because Fox had a stake in it.
Okay.
NBC Universal had a stake in it. Comcast had a stake in it. And Disney had a stake in it. When they bought 20th Century Fox, they got the majority stake.
Got it. Okay.
Then basically what happened is Comcast kind of bowed out. They basically stepped back and gave Disney full control of Hulu and became more or less like a silent partner. Like, they have some ownership, they make money, but they don't exercise any control, right? They just... So they purchased, basically the purchase, they kind of relooked at everything and like what NBC Universal owns of it or whatever, and essentially have come back and said that for about $439 million, Disney is making the acquisition. They expect the acquisition to be complete by like the end of July. Disney getting full control over Hulu. What do you think that means? I'll go to you, Jokes, because you just got here. We haven't really had a chance to hear from you.
I think this, like, I know Disney wanted to kind of test the waters with like some of the more grown up content on the Disney Plus platform, but this would now really let them be able to just flex and just say, you know what, it's all that stuff is going to go on Hulu. Maybe with the exception like your Deadpools and things like that will still live on the Disney Plus just because of being involved with Marvel. But I feel like this just gives them that flex to not have to. I don't want to say worry about it because you can still enable parental controls and do all those good things just to have that stuff. But I think this just gives them the ability to be able to shift a lot of that stuff to Hulu and let live on there and still separate like the Disney from the. This is some Fox stuff. This is the stuff that like to be able to kind of separate themselves between the two, but still own all those IPs technically if they do get as a part of it as well too.
Yeah, I don't believe they're getting any IP out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the question that opened up for me, which I couldn't find anything about it, was whether or not that means that NBC Universal will pull their content from Hulu. Right, and does that mean that Hulu now doesn't have any of that? I mean, NBC Universal is not small in terms of the IP that they own and the shows that exist or whatever. So it does make me wonder whether or not them relinquishing that control, is that a thing where they're going to be like, yeah, well, we know that contractually these shows are on Hulu for the next however many years, but when that's over, we're not doing that again. You know what I mean? And we're going to go to Netflix or whatever. Now, there is, again, a smart play for Disney to just be like, yeah, you can go on Netflix, but why wouldn't you also go on Hulu, right? Or a lot of the draw of Hulu is that people are able to go the next day and watch the stuff that aired the night before, right? And so if they're seeing good numbers from that, and if there's some sort of, if there's a payout that comes from that, I don't know that you'd give that up. What I will say though is that in the time since Hulu really gained that kind of traction and all this kind of stuff is switched, we've seen a much higher uptick in companies like Amazon with Prime and Netflix starting to do live TV and live stuff, which means that they're also probably in a position to be like, well, yeah, we could do next day. You know what I mean? So like if NBC was to go to Netflix and say, hey, look, we'll do the deal with you, but you also got to air them next day. And that's going to be a draw for you and Netflix because people will they'll stay there and they'll watch, whatever. They might have missed it this night because they were watching wrestling, but it'll be there the very next day. You know what I mean? To watch. Like, I certainly think that could change, what some of that landscape is. Because I don't think, what's happening with Peacock?
To me, Peacock seems like it's starting to lose. Like, let's say, like for me, obviously Peacock is the place for WWE. Right now, I don't have a choice to still be able to watch pay-per-views unless I do VPN to use them on Netflix. But eventually that's going to run its course and then end up all on Netflix as well too. And outside of that, I watch the Chicago shows. And if they do the same thing where like those are on Hulu next day, like I have Disney Plus. So it's like, I probably would still be able to do it that way where I didn't necessarily need to give that money to Peacock. So I feel like this kind of starts breaking that stuff down because if you could do some of those same things on your Hulu as well too, it kind of makes Peacock not necessarily stay viable.
Makes it very redundant. Unless they pull and keep like archive material, you know what I mean, or something like that, then I don't really see a point, to be honest. Saying I know it doesn't really matter to you if you don't really do any streaming services at all.
Pretty much just YouTube TV and Crunchyroll. That's it. And Netflix now. So
it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the long run. Now that Disney's got a lot of control, bro.
Oh yeah.
They got like Microsoft levels of control, like Microsoft gaming levels of control, bro. Like they could just really, they have a lot of control. So we'll see what happens to that. And everybody else seems to be falling apart. You know what I mean? Max, Max, HBO, whatever they call it.
They can't even figure out what they want to keep their name as. So
Right.
it's like,
but that's the other thing that makes me concerned about what's happening with Superman and the rest of whatever James Gunn wants to do. Like, I just feel like there's so much resting on it that if it doesn't hit the numbers they need, that joint spells disaster for a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Not just, I mean, it could spell disaster for the comic books. Like, it just with all of what's going on, it's kind of a scary proposition, scary place to be in. I have one question. A couple weeks ago, we saw the new Marvel fighting game for PlayStation. We also saw the reveal of the Invincible fighting game, which I want to say, LD say, what up, Gage and crew?
Hey.
Much love from the hospital. Wife is due with our daughter as soon as tomorrow. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? Hey, listen, congratulations.
Yes.
You know, prayers together for a super healthy and happy baby girl, I do believe.
Yep.
Positive you'll be a wonderful girl dad. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. Jokes. The Invincible game is made by a bunch of the people who were the original team that did Killer Instinct when it first came out on the Xbox. People are saying the joint actually looks like it, like actually feels pretty good to play and might actually do something. We're not gonna dwell too heavy on that. But we did also talk about how NetherRealm seemed to be wrapping up what they were doing with Mortal Kombat 1. Like, here's the final edition. DLC is done. We're not doing anything else, which to me means there's an announcement imminent.
Yeah.
Please?
Are we getting an Injustice game announced? I'm talking like Tokyo Game Show, Paris Game. I ain't talking about waiting until Game Awards. I'm talking about, and if it's DC related, is there any pressure to be like, oh, okay. oh, that's what you're doing? And does Microsoft feel the need to push for something? Could we be looking at some version of an exclusive to answer? Like, if I'm gonna be real, if I'm Phil Spencer, as soon as I saw that joint, I called that boom.
Call it straight.
Injustice 3.
Xbox. Let's do this. Xbox everywhere. Everything's an Xbox. Let's do this.
They would have hated though, because if you took it has to be something new. It can't be Injustice 3.
It's been on everything,
Because if Injustice 1 and 2 was on everything, if you lock that joint down, I'm gonna tell you right now, they're gonna get Tomb Raider levels of hate. Do you remember?
Yes.
When they locked Tomb Raider down for a 1-year exclusive and people peed, bro, in their pants? Not possible. You know, there was rumors for a long time that like NetherRealm was working on a Marvel fighting game. They kept talking about that. I don't think that that's happening.
Yeah, not now.
They are still owned by WB, which means that they have access. What are we doing? One, are we getting an announcement?
I think so. Because the fact, like, listen, you're wrapping up MK, which honestly is probably the biggest thing that you have under your belt. And when you say that you don't have anything else to do for that, that clearly says this is getting out of the way. out of the
Your
way.
only announcement was the MK collection
Right.
that somebody else is doing. You're not even doing that. But you was in the commercial.
You were. Mm-hmm.
What are we doing? It's not like Microsoft hasn't had exclusive joints before. If you remember, John Tobias, one half of Noob Saibot, who helped make Mortal Kombat what it was, did go off on his own and make an exclusive fighter for the original Xbox. Don't tell me you don't remember Tao Fang. You might not remember, jokes. You were very little. You were very little in 2000 or whatever.
Hey, listen, I had Raw. That was all. That was all that mattered on the original Xbox. Raw and Tony Hawk.
That's all you needed.
They said I was good.
Obviously, they own Killer Instinct. That's still a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Could you see a world where Microsoft goes to NetherRealm and says, "We want you to do the next Killer Instinct"?
Oh, do like a spin like this. The next hey, that could be something.
I'm just
almost. You know what it could be? It's like how we got. Which one do we get? Tekken cross Street Fighter, and then we never got Street Fighter cross Tekken.
Yeah, we'll never get that.
They could do something like that with, like, you know, the MK cross Killer Instinct, which could be kind of.
I ain't gonna hold you on that either. I'm also Phil Spencer I'm Phil Spencer and Matt Booty going, hey, Capcom.
What we gotta do?
Hey, Capcom. I know y'all better get
Darkstalkers.
What's up? Give me something. You know what I'm saying? Because that's probably the biggest miss right now that Microsoft has, is they just don't have anything in that fighting community for real.
No, they don't. Yeah.
And PlayStation got their hands all in it because they own the biggest tournament.
Evo, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they wouldn't lock down if they could get Capcom to do a deal with Soul Calibur, but I know they won't lock that jump.
Nah.
I would be, I ain't even gonna hold you. If Namco announced today that they was doing like all these remasters and remakes, hey dog, if they said they was remaking Soul Calibur 2
in there, done.
Bruh.
The hell I would rain down online
out my pocket. You can have a wallet, ID and everything, dog.
It's a wrap.
What?
It's a wrap.
What? You can have it, bruh.
Ooh, so
I'd be about it, bruh. Like I'm all about it. I mean, at some point, right? I know we get into this thing where, like, whenever like one side does something, we like, all right,
what's the other side gonna do? Yeah.
It's not really how it works, but it would be nice if that's how it worked, right? Because then we just getting more games. You know what I mean?
100%.
I'm cool, but get me something, do something, because I keep it a buck. Tekken been cranking for a long time. We haven't had a Soul Calibur in a decade,
at least
longer than that, I think.
Nah,
I feel like it has.
No, because we had one The Witcher in it. That's been a decade.
Dog, that was like, I thought that was Witcher. Dog, Witcher 3 has been out now for how many console iterations at this point?
Witcher 3 10 years old. What was the last Soul Calibur?
Soul Calibur 6?
It was 6, yeah.
And that was on Xbox One, PS.
Okay, that was 2018. That was 2018.
Yeah.
It's close.
That's almost a decade.
It's close.
Why are y'all acting like that's not almost a decade?
Oh no, I had to look. I just looked. But no, that
let me not. Let's listen. Not to like take years away from y'all, but let's not pretend that like half of this year isn't already over.
It's a fact.
Oh, it definitely is. Yeah, for sure.
I'm just saying. It's time, bro. It's time for a new Soul Calibur, dog.
Mm-hmm. That I could see getting announced at Tokyo Game Show.
I take a Soul Blade, bro, but it's time for a new Soul Calibur for sure.
It is, yeah.
Especially because we're about to get a new Virtual Fighter.
It's era, yep.
You kind of gotta give me a new Soul Calibur.
Yeah, we're not gonna get a Tekken. It's gotta be Soul Calibur.
Yeah, we're not getting a Tekken for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Tekken 8 gonna rock for a good.
But if they make a Soul Calibur look like Tekken 8 does,
Oh, that'd be spectacular. Ooh. Oof.
I can't even. I can't even. However, it's time to end the show because I have properties to buy. FGC Firebreak is live in Game Pass. It's time to get to shooting some things in the old house. It's on and popping.
Apparently didn't install that.
I'm gonna tell you right now, them properties cost me some money. Jones cost me some money. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to buy one property in order to be able to buy the other two properties.
Okay. Let's have some grinding.
It's gonna run you a solid $3 million to get all three properties, but right now it's double money on the first property.
You say
quadruple double money if you in the club, you know what I'm saying? If you in a Rockstar game, if you in that joint, it's quadruple money.
Okay.
Pay for that jump for a month then.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I done already bought the properties.
Yeah, I saw you was online. I was like, something must have happened in Grand Theft. Like something must have happened. Okay.
Yeah, something happened.
Okay.
And I'm on vacation. So
let's get
it popping.
What? Yeah, there's money to get. You know what I'm saying? So y'all just tell me what we doing. Jokes, you got a new episode of The Finisher coming out this week, right?
This weekend, yep. And as things keep happening, like, hey, listen, I was rapping with Marcus because
he said pocket change. He must have got all them millions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? No shark cards, all hard-earned cash money. You know what I'm saying?
But stuff always happened, and something from a couple episodes ago. Sin, I know you saw when I posted and was like, this dude Goldberg is back again.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is why we took the belt off of Jey Uso, and it makes me so angry.
It's
nah, dog, don't be mad about that. If John Cena can come back and take a belt, then Goldberg can come back and take a belt.
No, Goldberg can barely walk to the ring.
Dog, did you hear what I said? Did you hear what I said?
But listen, I have my ideas on what's going to happen, and that's what you guys are going to be able to hear about on the next episode of The Finisher.
Awesome. Anime Chat goes live in 2 days.
Yes, sir. This week we're discussing what cartoons we would like to see become anime. And also we have a lot of more this and that we get into. It's a real good time.
Are you trying to tell me that anime isn't cartoons?
This is not the Anime Chat, sir. We're not about to start arguing about that.
Ooh. All right. Cool. Look, let me put y'all on. So this Saturday at 1 p.m., we're going live right here where you see us. It'll be myself and our Loading Snacks admins. We are doing an admin appreciation weekend. Our admins are amazing. They really, really work very hard to help make sure that the shows that we create, like outside of this specific show, live and breathe, that they keep going. So Noah and Gabby, who are always on Anime Chat, Frosty, who's always jumping in on various things, including here, Marcus, and maybe Coop, if y'all remember Coop, maybe Coop.
Sure.
But we're gonna do a live stream. Look, we're gonna play some games. We're gonna talk. We're gonna kind of really dig in and learn about all of them, who they are, what their likes and dislikes are. We have some games and some fun stuff lined up. We'll probably only be in there for a couple of hours. We're gonna do that. But we just want to make sure that we take some time to do something special kind of for them. We're gonna meet up outside of that on the following day, but we just kind of want to make sure that we show some love to those folks because they really do help make sure that this runs and stays running. And so,
See.
you know, we just want to make sure we take the time and show our appreciation. So by all means, if you see us go live on Saturday, please jump in, say hi, hang out, have some fun with us, and so forth, because that's what the point is. Again, we really love them. We want to continue to show some love to them. So by all means, jump in Saturday and kind of hang out with us for a little while. Again, we'll be live at 1 p.m. So after what time is the finisher going live, Jokes?
We're gonna go do 10 a.m. It's gonna go live at 10 a.m.
Let's call that a maybe. It felt like a maybe.
Nah,
it felt like a maybe. But we'll be live at 1. So I try to know.
Get it out of the way.
We'll be live at 1. It'll be, again, myself and the rest of the admins just jumping in and having a good time. So again, please jump in, join the stream, hang out with us, say hi, all that kind of stuff. And for those of you who maybe watch some content and don't get to see the other content, it'll be an opportunity for you to kind of meet and get to know some of the other people that are working on and behind the scenes with us to help get things done. So again, we're showing a little bit of extra appreciation there. Having said that, not this weekend, but the following weekend is Nerdpocalypse. Power Plant Live. We'll be there. I have no idea what we're doing. That's not really the point. All you need to know is that it's a bar crawl and it starts at like 3 p.m. and runs till like 9. And it's going to be games and drinking and singing and cosplay. Usually there's a video game tournament of some type. Usually there's trivia of some type.
I think it's Mario Brothers again this year.
We're like running some kind of a heroes versus villains, beer Olympics kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, listen, don't overthink it. So if you're in the area, get a ticket and come through. That's all I'm going to say. Get a ticket and come through. Having said that, I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us this evening. It has been wonderful to have you. Jokes, I'm glad you made it. It's always a plus to have you join the show, even when you're a tad behind. It just adds to the allure of things. So thank you to everybody for hanging out, chilling with us this evening. We really appreciate you. Jokes, please tell the people what I need them to know.
Yes, sir. Remember, y'all, just because you have a well thought out plan doesn't make it a good idea.
With that, we are out. Toodles and lose.
Loading snacks.